What's up, everybody? Today we are test driving a Toyota GR86 2023 model with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Most people would say they would rather have a stick shift in this car, and I would tend to agree with them, but we'll get to the transmission later. First thing I want to talk about right now is the engine, because in the old Toyota 86 Scion FRS Subaru BRZ, that was kind of the biggest point of contention. Everybody wished it had a turbo. It definitely needed more torque, and they did not put a turbo in it on this second generation version, but they did give it more torque via a larger engine. It's got about 20% more torque, almost 20% more torque than the old one. But the biggest difference is in the delivery of the torque, because it's available so much lower in the rev range. Looks like this cement truck is, well, let's see, is he gonna let me by? And look at that torque helping me get by the cement truck. So the net result is this is a considerably more satisfying car to drive than the old one was. These cars always had the handling. The steering response is excellent. You've got nothing but confidence when it comes to cornering in this GR86. You know, that was really the car's strongest point when it first came out, and I would say still remains its strongest point. I think it's a good looking car. The looks are a strong point as well, but it's the biggest reason to get one of these is the way that it handles. The cornering is just fantastic. This is the first second generation 86 BRZ type of vehicle that I've driven. The ride is, if anything, slightly stiffer than I remember it being. I've driven a lot of the first gen cars. It was never a smooth riding car, but somehow this one seems a little bit more abrupt than the old one. It's not a huge difference, and it's not even really a criticism. Somebody getting into a car like this is not going to be expecting a silky smooth ride, which is a good thing because you're not going to get one. But yeah, it definitely, the suspension is stiff. It's a little bit of a choppy ride. You do feel the road. But again, this is a sports car. I mean, this literally is a sports car. So that's a good thing, that you can feel what's going on the road surface, and it does help the handling as well. So that's not a complaint, it's an observation. Now let's talk about the transmission. Yeah, 6-speed manual would be my preferred transmission in one of these cars, but the 6-speed automatic does work well, and in this second generation you do get the benefit of what is essentially Subaru's EyeSight system minus the lane centering. So it does give you some reasons to get the automatic. The automatic also gets better fuel economy, and you have things like adaptive cruise control and emergency braking and lane departure warning. So those are some nice things to have. The automatic's slightly slower than the stick shift, and of course you're less involved in the driving experience. But I do have a manual mode I can put the car in. Whack it down some gears. Yeah, nice rev matching. And the paddles are relatively responsive, so, you know, it's okay. People get very hung up about the whole manual transmission thing on the internet. My experience selling Subarus, and the BRZ version of this was on that car, they made a lot more stick shifts than they did automatics, which is probably good because there was overall more demand for the stick shift. But whenever we got an automatic in, because there were so few of them and there was still some demand for it, they would sell almost immediately. So, you know, there is demand for the automatic transmission in these cars, and if somebody wants an automatic, hey, you know what? There are benefits to it. Better gas mileage. With the new one, you get the eyesight, you get the adaptive cruise. Those are definitely considerations. So, you know what? If you want a sports car, but the automatic transmission works better for you, more power to you, I say. I would also like to say this new one, even though it's still based on the same chassis as the original, they did update it somewhat, and it definitely feels roomier to me. Either that or I've lost weight, which is possible, but it's more than that, because I feel like I have more leg room. It's easier for me to get in and out of it. This is a little bit more comfortable for me than the old one was. Let's go for the pass. Let's use our new torques. That was very nice. I don't know if the speedometer on this vehicle is visible, but I would like to state for the record that it is displaying kilometers per hour. Ah, this car just feels so good in the turns. The limits are so high in these cars that you really have to do something stupid to get yourself into trouble. And in a way, that is a benefit of the lower horsepower rating. You know, people want the turbo in this car, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But you have to understand, you would be changing the whole entire character of the vehicle. If you put the turbo engine into this, it wouldn't just be the turbo engine. You'd have to put bigger brakes on it because you'd be able to attain higher speeds. You would probably have to do some sort of a wide body thing going, because you'd have to put wider wheels and tires, especially in the rear, to deal with the additional horsepower and torque. And you would just... Honestly, my honest opinion is, if you put the turbo in this car and let's say you cranked it to even 300 horsepower and 270, 250 torque, something like that, you would be changing the character of the car so much that it would almost be less fun. Because one of the fun things about driving a GR86 is you really feel like you can do no wrong. Because the power is somewhat limited, even still, the chassis is better than the engine in a way, because the chassis can cope with whatever the engine does. If you gave this thing 300 horsepower, even with wider tires and bigger brakes and retuned suspension, you would reach the point where you could attain speeds where you needed to be careful. And you couldn't drive it with quite the same kind of wild abandon that you can drive this car with this engine. I still think it would be a lot of fun. It would just be... I honestly think it might be a be careful what you wish for kind of a situation, because you just might get it. And now they're doing road construction. Be careful what you wish for. I wish they fixed this road. Back on the other side of the construction, behind the Service Champions truck. I don't know, I really enjoy driving this car. I'm a big guy, I'm 6'5", and you know, this is almost big enough for me that I could see buying one if the need or the right deal came around. It's not really the kind of car that I would buy, probably, but if you think you want a pure sports car, you should definitely look into it. My conclusion on this car is that it's highly recommended. I'm really glad that they're still building it, because for a minute there it looked like they might discontinue the BRZ, and we might not get a second generation BRZ 86 FRS. In my mind, I kind of conflate them all into one car. But I'm glad they kept building it, and I'm glad that we still have the opportunity to buy cars like this. You know, there aren't really very many affordable pure sports cars out there. What I would love to see, and I don't think that this will ever happen, but please, dear Subaru and Toyota, for the next generation BRZ 86 FRS, whatever, here's what I want you to do. And there was actually rumors about this, but it didn't come to fruition. But this is what I really, really want. Engineer a mid-engined replacement for this car and make it, use a boxer engine, mid-engine rear drive, so Toyota can call it the MR2. It could be the replacement for the old MR2 that they don't make anymore, and Subaru can call it whatever. They can still call it a BRZ, because BRZ stands for Boxer Engine Rear Drive Zenith. So it would still be Boxer Engine Rear Drive, whatever. That would be so cool. So cool. And try to keep the price point similar to where it is now. It probably would have to get a little bit higher, because I think the engineering involved with building a mid-engine car is probably a little bit more complicated than building a front-engine car. But oh, wouldn't that be sweet? Even if it just had this engine, like, I'm not even gonna get picky and say, oh, you need to put a turbo. This engine's fine. Keep the weight about the same so we have similar performance. Keep a manual transmission available, sticky shifty. Oh, that'd be great. We should all send letters and faxes and tweets on Twitter. Can I has mid-engined sports car for cheap? Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. This car drives great. The engine's a huge improvement over the original one. The automatic's not bad. No hate if you're gonna get an automatic, at least not for me. I'm not one of these purists. The stick shift probably would be a little bit more fun, but again, no hate, no hate. Everybody's got their own thing going on. That's the key. We all need to accept each other for who we are and love each other and realize that we're all on the same ship. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching my video. Hope you enjoyed it. I know that my test drive videos often get a little rambly towards the end, so if you watch this far, extra thanks a lot, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.